Yeah, this is happening. Hello guys and welcome back to Hearts and Paperbacks. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Marianna, and today I decided that it was a good point in this channel to actually rank the Sarah J. Maas books. I'm a little scared, not gonna lie, but I'm also excited because we're talking about 16 books here and I have them all over here. Well, not all, I'm missing one novella from Throne of Glass, The Assassin's Blade, but I have read it and we're gonna rank everything. Let's go. Okay, it goes without saying that my two favorite genres are romance and fantasy, and of course their love child, romantasy. So of course I have read this series more than once. It's actually embarrassing how many times I've actually read ACOTAR, so we're not gonna go into that right now. So disclaimer, Sarah J. Maas is one of my auto-buy authors. I think she's actually my favorite author. The way she has with storytelling and how she creates characters with depth and stories that make you want to know about war politics. It's an impeccable skill, and this is why I love her and why I have multiple editions of her books, and I'm actually thinking of buying more, so you can understand I do have a problem. I mean, which bookworm doesn't? And I do have to say I love all of her series. Either we're talking about Crescent City and how she has that fair realm in the modern world, or how we have this epic fantasy in Throne of Glass, which is amazing, and I know many people are intimidated by the books, but it's so worth it. Or we're talking about ACOTAR, my absolute favorite. This is the best love story I've read in a while. In a hot minute, I guess. Everything I'm reading, I'm comparing to these books. So, yeah. And honestly, as I'm filming this video, I still don't know which book will be at number 1. I have a couple of options in my mind, but I can't decide. I love this book so much, so we're gonna discover this together. Let's go and rank these books. I hope you're ready. I'm ready. I have my cup of coffee, and let's start with my 16th book, and that is Crown of Midnight. This is the second book in the Throne of Glass series. It is a filler book and it totally shows for me. Yes, something major happens in this book, but it's only like 10 pages. This is the major thing that happens, and all the rest of the pages are just, I don't know what was the purpose of this book. It could have been one book with Throne of Glass. It could have been longer, but that would be okay. At least for me, I would have been okay with this. And I think the fact that, okay, we get to see some more of how Aileen and Kale are interacting, and especially with the major thing that happens. But overall for me, this is my, I think, lowest rated book in the series, like 3.5 to 4 out of 5 stars. I'm saying 3.5 to 4 because in Goodreads I do have, I think this is a 4-star read there for me, because we're not allowed half stars, but in Fable and stuff, this is 3.5 for me. And of course it goes without saying, because I actually said that I thought that Crown of Midnight could have been one with Throne of Glass. At 15 we have Throne of Glass. I mean, I can actually tell that this is one of the first books that Sarah J. Maas wrote. And okay, that's okay. We cannot compare these with the last book in the Throne of Glass series. I mean, years have gone by and her writing style has somewhat changed. But yeah, I cannot put this higher than at place 15. I love the introduction, and this is why this gets 4 stars. And okay, it's a good first book if you're now just starting to read romantasy. I mean, this is just fantasy here. These books still, until I believe Queen of Shadows, are more in the young adult genre, and then the story and the series moves on to be in the new adult. So yeah, it's a good start to the series, but nothing major for me that like I would put at number 1. No, for sure not. Now at 14, I'm gonna put a book that it's very controversial, and I'm talking about Tower of Dawn. We're still in the Throne of Glass series, even though I dearly love it, the series, not this book. Some things like the novella over here that was supposed to be a novella, and then at the last minute, Bloomsbury and Sarah J. Maas decided that, you know what? Why make this a novella? This could be the story of Kale, and not turn it into a book. Honestly, I was really disappointed because at the time that I bought the book, I didn't understand that this was, a Kale book. And I had finished Queen of Shadows and I was ready to read. And I thought that I had Empire of Storms, but it hadn't come out yet. And I was devastated. Needless to say, now I'm always doing a reread, and it's a tandem read. Meaning, some chapters I'm reading from here, from Tower of Dawn, and some chapters I'm reading from Empire of Storms. This really adds a whole other experience to the book, and you're not only getting, I think this is like 600 pages. Yeah, 650 pages of Kale. You're mixing things up. This goes, it takes place simultaneously as Empire of Storms, so the fans have created a reading list with the chapters. You're reading 2 chapters from here and 3 from Empire of Storms, and you go back and forth between the books. The reading experience with a tandem read is absolutely amazing. I highly recommend it. With that being said, I wasn't too harsh while rating this book, so this is still a 4-star read for me. At number 13, we have A Court of Frost and Starlight. This is the size of the novella, by the way. This book, I don't know why it's getting so much hate. For me, it was the scenes that were missing from the 3rd book in the ACOTAR series. And it was cute. And if the only thing I have to say is that I would have liked it to be, longer. Why make it so short? Yes, it's a novella, of course, it's gonna be on the short side. But this is like 200 pages. She could have, made it like 300. Some more scenes with Rhys and Feyre. But overall, I did like it, and it's another 4-star read for me. Moving on to number 12, it's the book that I still don't have on my collection, and it's because I don't want to splurge and buy a novella that I have read, but it's not my favorite. And I'm talking about Assassin's Blade. It's the novella of Throne of Glass. I really like the book. I'm not obsessed with it as many others are because, we get to see Sam and Selena together, and she has that traumatic past and all the background and all the trauma, basically. Okay, I understand why people are obsessed. I'm not just one of those obsessed people. So it's gonna be a 4.5-star read for me. I do appreciate that through those, shitty situations and all the stuff she went through, we have a truly great, progress in her character. We see her at her lowest in this book, and then she's a whole other person in Kingdom of Us, the last book in the series. So I really do appreciate that we have something to compare her last self to the first, self that we have in the novella. At number 11, it pains me to say that it didn't even make the top 10, but we have A Court of Thorns and Roses. Okay, listen. I have to say, every time I'm rereading this, I'm like, at the first, this much of the book, I'm like, okay, it's an okay book, and I should, have 3 stars, basically. But then this happens in the book, and I'm a completely different person every single time I'm reading this. So even though I'm starting off with, this doesn't need to be more than 3 stars, no. Ultimately, for me, again, this is a 4.5-star read. It's the first scenes we get with the main couple with Rhys and Feyre, and they're just golden. And I think the only reason why I'm deducting the half-star is because of Tamlin and because of the games SJM Maas played with us. How? Why? Why would you let us believe that she will end up with Tamlin and then they're not endgame? And then I wanted to throw the book, across the room. But okay, what can you do? Seriously, what can you do? But it's a great start to the series, and this is why it's at number 11. Okay, we're starting off the top 10 strong, and we're starting with the first book from the Crescent City trilogy. It's House of Sky and Breath. It's actually the second book in the series. And as you can see, okay, this is the hardback edition, but this is a chunky book, okay? It's a big book. And it showed while reading it. She kept adding characters. And while I was expecting for things to progress really quickly with Bryce and Hunt, they didn't. And basically, I don't want to be, over dramatic, but I think at this point of the book things progress between them, and all these were just new characters, new plot lines, new stuff, new everything, and I just wanted to see the romance. This is a romantasy, okay girl? This is not just a fantasy. I wanted something more from it. I mean, at some point I was literally banging my head to the wall, and this was going to be a 4-star read for me, but that last chapter, if you've read it, you know, and if you haven't, I'm gonna say a spoiler now. The minute she steps into Velaris and we see Raisan, I was screaming. I couldn't actually believe what I was reading. The audacity of Sarah J. Maas to actually link those words together. What? Girl, what were you thinking? I mean, thank you, but what were you thinking? I was completely obsessed, and this is why this is actually a 4.5-star read for me. I mean, it completely saved the book, right? At number 9, we have Heir of Fire from Throne of Glass. I absolutely love this book because we actually get to see the MMC. Finally, we get to meet Rowan, and it's a great book to see how Aileen actually, you know, learns about her powers, and she's now just starting, I think, to get the hang of the politics in the book. So yeah, nothing more to say about this book. It's Rowan's book for me because we get to meet him, and I think this is worth it. I mean, it's worth reading Crown of Midnight in order to get to this, because this is just, I love it. Oh, and 5-star read for me. At number 8, we have House of Flame and Shadow over here. It's another chunky book. It's the third book in the Crescent City series. So this book was actually trying to tie loose ends from not only the previous book, but the previous 2 books, because so many plot lines were, you know, just spreading. And I have to say, I did love it. I was dying for the chapters where Bryce was in Velaris. Dying for them. This was the best part in the book. And of course, the part where she reunites with Hunt. So yeah, I don't have many negative things to say about this book. I know a lot of people didn't like it or thought it was, you know, too big, but the only book I've said that it's way too big was Star of Dawn, I mean, by Sarah J. Maas. Other than that, the more the woman writes, the more I want to read. And needless to say, I love the ending. It was bittersweet, it was cute, it was tearful for sure, and I love that we saw Velaris and we saw how Nesta interacted with Bryce as well. This was a really fun relationship to watch, and I'm having high expectations of the next ACOTAR book. I mean, aren't we all? But I really do want to see if they're gonna address the fact that, you know, a portal opened into another universe and we were talking with other fair people. So yeah, excited about that. At number 7, we have one of my absolute favorite books. I mean, duh, obviously, but I have to say this was action-packed. And keep in mind, I didn't have the next book in the series. So that ending was traumatizing to say the least. And that trauma just stayed with me. And this is why this is also a 5-star read. I mean, come on. Come on, Aileen and Rowan are goals. Goals. Also, not to mention, another book boyfriend that I have from the Throne of Glass series, I mean, apart from Rowan, is Lorcan. I don't care what you say about him. Yes, he's morally grey. Yes, he's only nice and good with the light, but he's nice and good with the light. And that alone just, you know, brings me to my knees. I absolutely love him. I think he's one of the best characters. And I want to know more about him. I wish that Sarah J. Maas would just write a novella about them, because we need the information, girl, okay? Also, the fact that we get to read more about Manon and the 13, pure goodness. At number 6, and before we reach the top 5, we have the first book in the Crescent City trilogy, I guess. I'm not gonna say series, it's a trilogy. We have House of Earth and Blood. Honestly, I went into this book without having read, you know, the blurb. I didn't know what was going to happen, and then at chapter 5, boom, murder, and I was like, excuse me? What just happened? At the first 5 chapters, I was trying to, you know, see which characters I like and which I don't, and the 2 characters that I liked, she just went ahead and unalived. So yeah, that was a shock for sure, and one of the main reasons why this was just a 5-star read for me, because yet again, like in ACOTAR, she surprised me. I didn't expect for something like that to happen, just as I didn't expect that Feyre won't end up with Tamlin. So yeah, when the author surprises me like that and does something unexpected, I'm sold. Plain as that. If I do have to say one negative about this book is that I expected more romance, but I get that she wanted, you know, to set the tone and the plot because it's world building and this is a whole new world. We have modern world and they have cell phones and internet and laptops and they're also fed with powers, so there's a lot of things going on and we have a lot of species as well and a lot of houses. So yeah, I can understand that, but just it was something was missing. I would have liked, no, just give us some crumbles, girl. We're not asking for a lot, right? And the top 5 starts with Empire of Storms from Throne of Glass series. I adore this book with good reason. At the end of this book, I wanted to throw it, you know, out of the window. Of course I didn't, but I really wanted to. Now that I'm doing a tandem read, it's easier to read because this actually rips your heart out, especially towards the end. But I love how we get to see the stories of more characters, again, like Lorcan or Aedion or Lysandra. So it's really fun reading about this. I'm obsessed. I don't have a lot of things to say. It's a 5-star read, and yeah, read it, cherish it, and remember, you can only read it for the first time once. So yeah, I'm gonna go cry and be right back. At number 4, we have, of course, Nesta and Cassian's book. We have A Court of Silver Flames. I have to say I was a bit skeptical about this book, mainly because the POV changes and we go from a first person POV to a third person. That was a bit weird for me and I'm not quite sure why Sarah J. Maas did this, but okay, I can accept it. And this was, wow, this was spicy. If you read it, you know, this was very spicy. She went all out. I mean, she went with, you know, with the trends. Because when she started writing ACOTAR and Throne of Glass, the genre to write about was young adult, and then things started evolving and new adult and adult fantasy became a thing. So she had to ride that train and she wrote it really good because, wow, this was spicy and people are still talking about how spicy this is. I loved how we learned about Nesta. I was expecting this to be, you know, a trilogy, not one book. I get why she did it. It is a big one. I think this paperback was like, let me check, 750 something pages. So it's a big book. I didn't, you know, at the point I was reading it, it didn't seem long to me. Now that I'm holding it in my hands and counting the pages, yes, it's a big one. But while reading it, you're just happy to be back in Velaris and reading about your favorite characters. So this just will fly. And of course it was a 5-star read, not only because of the, you know, of the smut, but also because we get to learn more about the characters and we also see glimpses and not only of Heir and Rhysand. So yeah, love those scenes so much. At number 3, we have a book where I was just, towards the end, I was crying. And of course I'm talking about the 3rd book in the ACOTAR series. Court of Weeks and Ruin was a ruin for me. It ruined me, basically. I mean, these love stories didn't exist, and you know, if you have found something like this, oh my god. But if you haven't, you're looking for something like this and you won't be able to find it because Rhysand is fictional. So yeah, just let me cry for a second. Basically, I don't have anything bad to say about this book. Some people found it, you know, long. Not me. I wanted like 100 more pages of this. And I have to say, I absolutely loved it. I love the fact that Rhysand just lets Feyre be, you know, the High Lady. And we have some great action in this book, amazing action. And we get to see more of Nesta and Elaine, but also the bad boys. So I just have nothing negative to say. Again, it was a 5-star read. I was sobbing towards the end. You know the scene I'm talking about. And I was traumatized. It ruined me. It's one of the best I've read. And now finally for the top 2, if you've done the math and you've been crossing the books out, you know that the 2 remaining books are the last book in the Throne of Glass series, Kingdom of Ash, and the 2nd book in the ACOTAR series, A Court of Mist and Fury. But at number 2, I have to say that Even though it pains me, those are just really, really, they're battling each other. But at number 2, I'm gonna have to go with Kingdom of Ash. It's a 900 plus pages book. It's so worth your while. I've read it, I think, by now 3 times. It ties the entire series in such a great way. We don't have, any unanswered questions. I mean, apart from, what did Lorcan do? What did Lorcan do? Just tell us, Sarah. I need to know what Lorcan did. That is why I was asking for a novella previously. She hates us. I believe she hates us, but okay. Until I know what Lorcan did, this will be at the 2nd place. This is the reason why. No. I was crying at this book so hard, and I didn't expect it to be that good. Basically, when you're reading a series that is so long, I mean, it's 8 books, you're expecting it to be, to have some ups and downs while reading it. Not every book can be 5-star read, but from Heir, Fire onwards, the books just, were getting better and better, and this was just the perfect pick. Words failed me, and yeah, of course, this is a 5-star read. No questions asked there. And finally, at number 1, we have the most epic love story ever written, for me, according to me. I mean, I know some people may not agree, but this was just epic. The way that those two came together and how they were working to make their relationship better, and how they learned that they're mates, and everything's just, this book is just the perfect love letter. I absolutely love it. I have nothing negative to say about it. Absolutely nothing negative to say about it. It's the creme de la creme, hands down, and I wish I could read this for the first time again. I just wish I could read it for the first time. It's one of the 3 wishes I've had with the genie, this one. One of them will be that I have and I get to read my favorite book again for the first time, and I would start with this one. So yeah, I adore it. So that was my Sarah J. Maas 16 book ranking. Thank you so much for being here and watching this. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did, because I could keep talking and ranting about this, because she is my favorite author, and it's because I love every single one of her books, and I can talk about the characters and the plots and I don't know, everything constantly. So yeah, I've told all my friends that I need to read this so we can talk and exchange TikToks about this, and just obsess together over when the next ACOTAR book will get published. Hopefully in 2025, Sarah, okay? Hopefully. Let me know if you agree with my ranking and what is your top 3. I look forward to your comments. Let me know if you like this video by giving it a thumbs up, and subscribe, because I'm having more, book rankings and book rants coming your way soon. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you do not miss another, bookish video from me. I have new videos coming every Wednesday, so stay tuned. In the meantime, keep reading and stay passionate. Bye!